we've now hit 8:30, so in the interest of keeping everyone on time, we're going to go ahead and start the program. I'm Dr. Ann Wallen, and I'm the Secretary of the Kansas Alpha Chapter of Phi Beta Kappa. It is my honor to present today the candidates for initiation into the Society of Phi Beta Kappa. Our ceremony is always on the short and sweet side, and we hope the virtual experience will be as meaningful as the usual experience in Woodruff Auditorium. We can't provide our usual breakfast reception this year, but we do invite you to join us in a special conversational reception at the end of the formal ceremony in an online app called Kumo Space, and we'll put the link in the comments at the end of the ceremony. It was also in an email to the students. Don't be frightened. It's a very easy program to use if you just go into the link after the ceremony. We have turned on automatic caption and we are recording the event. We'll make that available on YouTube later and on our website. We have extra speakers today, thanks to the magic of Zoom. So we want to get straight to business. So I will now turn the virtual podium over to our chapter president, Professor David Slusky.
Thank you so much, Dr. Wallen. First of all, I'd like to acknowledge all Phi Beta Kappa members in attendance. Candidates for initiation, as you are about to be initiated into the Society of Phi Beta Kappa, it falls to me to tell you about the origins of the society and explain its symbol, the key, and its mottos. The Society of Phi Beta Kappa had its beginning at the College of William and Mary in Williamsburg, Virginia, when on the 5th day of December, 1776, a group of students met in the Apollo Room of the Raleigh Tavern, dedicated in their own words, quote, to that freedom of speculation which forever dispels the clouds of falsehood by the radiant sunshine of the truth. When Phi Beta Kappa was established, when the world was very different from today, the principles and ideals of the society have not changed. These principles and ideals are suggested by the letters and symbols of the Phi Beta Kappa key, originally meant to be used to wind one's watch. Engraved on one side are the letters SP, the initials of the Latin words Societas Philosophiae, the Philosophical Society, or the Society for the Love of Wisdom. It is on this side of the key that the member's name is usually engraved. On the other side are the Greek letters Phi, Beta, and Kappa, the initials of the Greek words Philosophia BU Kubernates, that is, love of wisdom, the guiding principle of life. Beneath these initials is a hand pointing to 3 stars. This symbolizes aspiration toward the aims of our society as enunciated by its founders, the aims of literature, morality, and friendship. Many notable people have been members of the society: W.B.E. Du Bois, Mark Twain, Cornel West, William James, Betty Friedan, Alexander Graham Bell, Eleanor Roosevelt, Gloria Steinem, Stephen Sondheim, Condoleezza Rice, John Updike, Milton Friedman, Peyton Manning, Ta-Nehisi Coates, Kerry Washington, Pete Buttigieg, and Amanda Gorman. 17 US presidents have been members, as are 7 of the current Supreme Court justices. You are joining the KU chapter of Phi Beta Kappa, Alpha of Kansas, which was founded in 1890 as not only the first in Kansas, but also the first founded west of the Mississippi River. Phi Beta Kappa is just as relevant today as it was at our founding in 1776, or our chapter's founding in 1890. You are now part of a storied history, and you are the key to our future as we emphasize the ideals of freedom of expression and civil discourse, and promote, now more than ever, the values of the liberal arts and sciences. These principles are the ones that we ask you to embrace as you join the society today. I want to offer a bit of advice to the graduates, based on advice Anderson Cooper gave my class at my commencement 15 years ago. The last 4 years of your life have been a sprint. You spent a year as first years trying to figure out where everything was and what mattered to you and what you wanted to do. Then you spent a year as sophomores, finally knowing your way around and on your path to the degrees and extracurriculars of your choosing. Then you were a junior in your prime of academic accomplishment and leadership. And finally, for a few more moments, you are a senior, able to wrap up your work, finish your projects, look forward to what's next, and hand off to the next generation. In many ways, so I've been told, the next 40 to 50 years of your life will be like the last 4, but no longer at 10x speed. You'll spend a while figuring out what you want your mark on the world to be and what further training and experience you need to get there. Then you'll spend a while starting to make a difference in those areas and building your reputation and credibility. Personally, I'm still in the middle of that phase. Then you'll be in your prime again with the authority and capability to truly make a difference. And then things will slow down as you complete your work, cement your legacy, and hand off to your successors. You may be asking yourself what you will do with this broad liberal arts and science education you've received. Anderson Cooper's, and now my answer, is that you will use it as a broad blueprint for how to find your way through the rest of your life, with ample opportunity for continual learning, growth, development, and accomplishment. Again, congratulations. We here at KU can't wait to see what you do next. And you can find your applause and other reactions under the reactions button. Feel free to use them liberally as we go through this ceremony. Finally, it is my great honor to introduce Frederick Lawrence, the Secretary and CEO of the National Phi Beta Kappa Society, and a great supporter of our chapter and our university. Getting to interact with Frederick Lawrence over the last year by Zoom has been one of the great silver linings of this pandemic. And I can think of no better way to be the epitome of that is his presence here today. He received a bachelor's degree from Williams and a law degree from Yale. He was an assistant U.S. attorney for the Southern District of New York and chief of their civil rights unit. He's one of the nation's leading experts on civil rights, free expression, and bias crimes, and has previously served both as the dean of George Washington University Law School and the president of Brandeis University. At Phi Beta Kappa, he is focused on advocacy for the arts, humanities, and sciences, championing free expression, free inquiry, and academic freedom, and invigorating the society's 290 chapters and nearly 50 alumni associations. And as I said, has been a great friend to our chapter personally. And we are so grateful for his time and energy in working with us here on our campus. So again, under your reactions, please join me in welcoming Frederick Lawrence.
Thank you, David, and thank you, Anne, for your warm remarks today, for your leadership of Phi Beta Kappa, and for your leadership of the arts and sciences at the University of Kansas campus, and therefore through the country, because KU plays an outsized role as a major state university in the country. Most of all, congratulations to all of you, the recipients today, the inductees, your families, your friends who are celebrating with you. You joined today America's oldest and premier honor society, as you heard, founded in 1776 by 500 graduates, now 245 years later, having grown to 500,000 members across the country, indeed around the world, 290 chapters, 50 alumni associations. You don't just receive a credential today, you join an organization today that stands for the values that best typify what you have accomplished over these past 4 years. And what you have accomplished is to be celebrated. By the very fact that you're sitting in this virtual hall today and celebrating your induction into Phi Beta Kappa, you understand the value of a liberal arts and science education. You understand how liberal education prepares us for meaningful lives, for productive lives, and for engaged lives as citizens. Meaningful life is what we normally think of as the liberal education. And I think we have thought about it more than ever this past year, when for reasons not within our control, we've had a lot of time on our own to think, to contemplate. And when we ask questions about what makes a good life, what makes a good society, what does it mean to achieve something great, the questions that we all ask, we understand from a liberal arts education, you're not asking those questions alone. You're asking them in dialogue over the centuries, indeed over the millennia. You're asking them with Plato and Aristotle. You're asking them with John Stuart Mill and with Immanuel Kant. The great literary scholar Harold Bloom said, "We read imaginative fiction because we can't know enough other people." So our worlds are expanded by the people we meet through our engagement with Herman Melville and Henry James, Emily Dickinson and George Eliot, James Baldwin and Toni Morrison. They introduce us to new people. They introduce us to new worlds. They introduce us to new ways of thinking about the world. This has not been an easy year, but how are we to confront this year, this time we're living in? There I turned to the great Maya Angelou, who said, "You may not control all the events that happen to you, but you can decide not to be reduced by them." And the essence of a liberal arts education is not to be reduced by your circumstances, but to confront it and find excellence through it. It prepares us for a productive life. And let me be very clear, I don't mean anything abstract by that. I mean quite concretely, the ability to act in your careers. Don't take my word for it. Take Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs and the introduction of the iPad 2 back about 10 years ago said the following, I'm quoting, "It is in Apple's DNA that technology alone is not enough. It's technology married with liberal arts, married with the humanities, that yields the results that make our hearts sing." It's not a surprise that a study done just about a month ago, just released a month ago by the Association of American Colleges and Universities, 9 out of 10 employers believe that the essence of a liberal arts education is what produces employees who are the most valuable to them. And a liberal education produces us for engaged lives. Phi Beta Kappa has been involved in the issues of the day going back to our founding. We were in the 1960s, one of the central organizations in the creation of the National Endowment for the Arts, National Endowment for the Humanities. And we have been involved over the past months in advocating for higher education around the country, here in Washington, DC, and yes, as David said, in Kansas and on the University of Kansas campus as well. So you join today with 17 American presidents, 42 Supreme Court justices, over 150 Nobel laureates. But that's not all you join. As I think back about what we've lived through these past months, you join with frontline caregivers, you join with researchers, policymakers, and those who have challenged the policymakers, Phi Bates who have played a role and will continue to play a role in our times. I urge you to stay involved in Phi Beta Kappa. Wherever you go, you are likely to be near a Phi Beta Kappa Alumni Association. And this fall, once again, we will have what we call our Key Connections program starting in September. If you go to pbk.org, look for the drop-down menu on associations, you'll find out about how to get connected up with a chapter or association nearest wherever you are, wherever you relocate. Congratulations on your outstanding accomplishments over the past 4 years, and welcome to the Phi Beta Kappa family.
Thank you so much for those words, Secretary Lawrence. I now will introduce one of our chapter traditions, which is to invite a recent student member to speak to the newly elected students. Since we are recognizing 2 groups of new members this year, we have 2 student speakers who have prepared remarks together. Sam Steuart was elected to our chapter in 2019 as a junior. Sam was a double major in biochemistry and American studies with a minor in Spanish. He was a Truman Scholar and is currently a Marshall Scholar, studying at the University of London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine. Next year, he will study immunology at Oxford before attending Harvard Medical School. Laura Phillips was elected to our chapter in 2020 as a junior. Laura was an honorable mention for the Udall Scholarship and a finalist for the Rhodes Scholarship. She is graduating this weekend with a double major in ecology and evolutionary biology and classics. She will conduct research this summer at the Land Institute and then complete a 1-year master's degree in classics at KU as a self fellow before pursuing a PhD related to her interests in sustainable agriculture. Sam and Laura's breadth and depth of learning, their deep interest in serving others, and their own friendship make them ideally suited as student representatives for this event. Please welcome Sam and Laura.
Hi, everybody. What I love most about joining today's induction and speaking is that I'm doing it alongside Laura. Laura and I's friendship is the perfect example of what I want to capture in my 2-minute time slot. The 3 stars on Phi Beta Kappa's symbol represent literature, morality, and friendship. While literature and morality are important, the past year has solidified the unparalleled value of friendship in my eyes. For me, academia has always served as a vessel to facilitate belonging. Laura and I first worked together as co-coordinators in the Center for Community Outreach. I met her, a wildly passionate environmental advocate who I'm convinced is Mother Nature herself, because of KU. Our friendship blossomed for the next 3 years. We even had a class together, which was one of my favorites because we had the most endearing professor who, by the grace of God, was equal parts obsessed with Ronald Reagan and Barack Obama. I graduated from KU last May and moved to London in September. Since moving here, I endured a lockdown that featured 3 months of me not being able to see anyone and only being able to leave this room for an hour each day. It was a dystopian world, but it gave me the beautiful ability to reflect on my past. The most consequential lesson I learned was the importance of belonging. Here, at the time, I was detached and hovering above this big city. But at KU, I was rooted in the ground, held close by the people who loved me. We find so much purpose from community embeddedness, whether it's the role we serve in organizations or the part we play in our friend or study groups. Embeddedness is synonymous with belonging. Therefore, I invite all of you to reflect on your time at KU and think about the friendships, mentorships, and roles you served in that gave you a sense of belonging, and express gratitude for them. After graduation, there may come a time where you find yourself in a brand new place, hovering above without roots. What I can promise you is this: A, eventually it and you will get better. B, it takes effort to create belonging in our lives, but it's worth it. And C, no matter where you go, you'll always belong right where you did at KU. So rely on those friendships and all the love that academia has facilitated for you.
Similar to Sam, this past year has fundamentally changed my idea of friendship and community. As the pandemic started, I moved from a schedule full of activity, involvement, and rushed meetings into watching the world move through a screen. We're all aware of the many and varied challenges that the pandemic has thrust into our lives, but the hardest one for me was feeling like I lost my community. Healing is so often a group process, and a year into quarantine, many of us are still isolated and trying to find the support we need to recover. After getting vaccinated, I began to reach out to my old life and slowly start recovering. But I know how hard that first step can be. When you are surrounded by silence, reaching out to your old communities and relationships can feel like searching for something in the dark. I hope that most of you find, as I did, that your community and friendships are still there. This process helped me realize that community is not easily broken. The time that you spend here at KU will fundamentally change the experience that other students have. Sam and I were able to meet since a group of students 20 years ago decided to start an organization for the people who love volunteering. I don't know any of their names, but I do know their impact, and I feel it every day. 2 years ago, Sam started a CCO program called JPAWS, which focuses on animal welfare. And I'm sure that the hundreds of people who have volunteered through JPAWS don't know Sam's name, but they know his impact and they know the community that he fostered. As you get ready to leave KU, remember that the communities you love are never really gone. These communities have been built over the years and are waiting for new members to join, enjoy, and find comfort in. Within these communities, we find the 3 stars on the Phi Beta Kappa symbol: friendship, literature, and morality. We find the deep connections with our peers. We find a love of literature, and we find the thoughtful conversations that better our society. Congratulations on all of your inductions to Phi Beta Kappa.
Thank you both so much. Our chapter also has a tradition of electing new honorary members at each ceremony. Dr. Sarah Crawford-Parker is our honorary member for this dual ceremony. Dr. Crawford-Parker received a Bachelor of Arts degree from the University of St. Thomas in St. Paul, Minnesota in history and art history before coming to the University of Kansas, where she earned both a master's and a PhD in the history of art, specializing in 17th century Dutch and Flemish paintings and prints. She served as an assistant and then associate director of the University Honors Program before becoming a special assistant to the provost and eventually vice provost for first-year experience. In these roles, she oversaw the development of first-year programming, helped create the KU Common Book Program, and was a founding member of the Experiential Learning Collaborative, amongst many other notable accomplishments. In 2019, she returned to the University Honors Program as its director. We are pleased to welcome Dr. Sarah Crawford-Parker into the chapter of Kansas Alpha of Phi Beta Kappa.
Thank you, Dr. Wallen. It is such an honor to be here with you today. I'm so excited to be celebrating with all of you in this moment And I have to say hello to Sam and Laura. It is very hard to speak after two people who I know have done such brilliant things in the world. So I'm pleased to be sharing this experience with you as well. So I have about 5 minutes of remarks, and then we will move on to the next part of the program. And hopefully you'll see that they build on some of what's already been shared. When I was preparing these remarks, I watched several Phi Beta Kappa induction ceremonies, and each spoke to how a liberal arts education helps to prepare individuals to address challenges in the world. So for example, advancing environmental justice or improving public health or building equitable communities in which everyone can thrive. You have all demonstrated that you are well prepared to do this work. So reflecting on my own studies, I would share two pieces of advice with you that speak to the value of broad and cross-disciplinary interests. The first is to embrace learning in all forms. We're here today to celebrate your accomplishments in the academy, so within higher ed, and that is really important. But when I think about the experiences that have shaped me, that help me to do the work that I do, I've realized that those experiences, the learning has happened in a variety of places. One of the most important being camp. And I want to talk about camp just for a moment. As a young person, I was fortunate to be able to have several camp experiences. The first camp that I attended was a gardening camp where they gave us plots of land that we had to plant and nurture across the summer. Laura Phillips. And that was an amazing experience. Then when I was in 6th grade, I attended a public school where they took all of the 6th graders to northern Minnesota to an environmental camp for a week. And that was also an amazing experience. And then lastly, when I was a high schooler, I had the opportunity, again, through my school, to attend a French immersion camp over a long weekend. So this last experience was more challenging for me. When I arrived, they took my copy of The Lord of the Flies, which I had to have read by the following Tuesday. I was planning on multitasking during the experience, but no English language books or music were allowed. They also required us to do calisthenics each morning in the woods, in the snow, with all of the instruction in French. So this camp experience was a little less amazing for me, but I did learn a lot, and it sparked in me a love of languages. But when I reflect back on these early experiences, I recognize the skills that they provided me. Learning how to classify plants or track animals helps you to look carefully and to pay attention to details, to see both nuanced differences between things, but also how things are connected. These are skills, observation and connection, that the liberal arts build in us. And it's important to recognize that this type of learning can be found both inside and outside of universities. These early experiences developed in me a sense of curiosity. And when I went to college, as Dr. Wallen noted, I found my passion in art history. I also realized that I had space to add a second major. So what did I pick? History. At the time, I felt like you could not get enough history. But at the same time, I also took geology and biology, two of my most difficult college courses. But I'm grateful for those courses because they helped me to understand the physical world that is the landscape for human thought and expression. So as you prepare for your next steps, wherever they may take you, continue to seek out a rich array of experiences to learn. My second piece of advice is as you continue your studies, many of you will start to specialize. You will go on to graduate school or professional school. You'll continue to do research, or you will become experts in public affairs, the arts, or industry. As you specialize, remember to look outward as well as inward. Don't let your specialization limit you or to contain your thinking. I do a lot of work with AAC&U, the Association of American Colleges and Universities, and they prioritize preparing students to enter a world of what they call unscripted problems. Unscripted problems are issues that we face as a global community that are particularly challenging to solve because the contexts in which they occur are complex, changing, and ambiguous. Solving unscripted problems will require multiple perspectives and collaboration across disciplines. So your induction into Phi Beta Kappa means that you have acquired the knowledge and the skills that you can start to bring to these issues, all of the issues that we face. It also means that you are now part of a community of talented individuals with diverse academic interests. Seek out one another, collaborate with one another, and learn from one another. We will all benefit from the discoveries that will emerge when you put your expertise in communication with others. So again, congratulations on this accomplishment. I am wishing all of us a very bright future.
Thank you so much, Dr. Crawford-Parker. We will now move into the reading of the names of our new members. And we will start with our chapter vice president reading names.
Wait.
So I will,
Hold
I'm
on.
sorry, go ahead.
We have to do the promise first. Hold on.
Oh, that's right, sorry.
So it's now my duty and my pleasure to bring our student candidates into the fellowship of those who are dedicated to the ideals of Phi Beta Kappa. Will the candidates please rise and raise their right hands? I know Zoom is mirrored. We're going to figure it out. Do you solemnly promise that you will be true and faithful to Phi Beta Kappa, uphold its standards, obey its laws, and seek to reflect credit upon your affiliation with this venerable fellowship of learners? If you so promise, please unmute. You can use your left hand for the space bar and all say, I do.
I do.
I do.
You can lower your hand now. As president of the Alpha chapter of Kansas, I now declare you members of Phi Beta Kappa authorized to wear its key as a badge and symbol and to participate in its meetings. On behalf of all the members of our chapter, I welcome you into this society. You can find applause under your reactions. In recognition of your initiation, each of you will now receive, if you have not already done so, a certificate signed by the president and the secretary treasurer of our chapter. I would also like to share with you the Phi Beta Kappa secret handshake. Non-members, please close your eyes and ears. Warning, it sounds trickier than it really is. What you're going to do is grasp the other person's pointer and middle finger with your thumb, pinky, and ring fingers. Due to the pandemic, I will now demonstrate a slightly modified version with myself. Once again, two fingers come together, and then you grab the two fingers. Okay, with the help of my colleagues, we will now read the names of the new members.
All right, thank you, Professor Slusky. I will now turn it over to Professor Harrison, who is our chapter vice president, to begin the reading of names. And I'm sure Apollonia, your dog, is an excellent new member of Phi Beta Kappa.
Aziz Beg, Saif Bajwa, Elsa Bernauer, Mitchell Biggers, Winona Brand, Nolan Bray, Tyler Cargill, Grace Clayman, Sean Coffey, Haley Cooper, Abigail Dieter, Annabelle Dolan, Sophia Dominguez Haitef, Stephen Duke, Gwen Fong, Alex Fisk Guerrero, Jessica Hala, Olivia Hansen, Odalis Hernandez, Maria Teresa Herrera, Catherine Hughes, Margot Johnson, Margaret Kilday, Henry Kircher, Riley Keister, Brooke Lapke, Mackenzie Lawrence, Morgan List, Allie Loudon, Audrey Meacham, Catherine O'Keefe, Paula Ramirez Pena, Ashley Rees, Casey Sadler, Catherine Schrader, Olivia Schaefer, Gwendolyn Sibley, Emily Simmons, Shelby Stouch, Krista Stenzel, Chelsea Stitt, Jennifer Straub, Catalina Wedman, Emily Weiss, Annalise Wilmson, Max Woodbury.
All right, Professor Earnhart, I believe you're the next reader.
Yes. Good morning. Apollonia Artiaga, Regan Bellinger, Saran Dhamaka, Amelia Dunlap, Ross Fitzpatrick, Alyssa Gilmer, Arman Hajian, Alexis Harms, Andrew Hartnett, Aruj Kalik, Sarah Nicely, Emily Kubika, Liam Magathan, Eleanor Matias, Laura Phillips, Elaine Pope, Isabel Pulido Ruiz, Molly Reed, Kelsey Rolfson, Miranda Scheller, Sydney Schrantz, Ryan Sieben, and Logan Stewart.
Now on to 2021, Professor Slusky.
Haley Amro, Carla Arana, Alexa Axelrod, Ashley Bickford, Taylor Blem, Jessica Blom, Andrew Brabant, Rebecca Brodine, Abigail Bird, Jaya Chaka, Nyla Chowdhury, Emily Curl, Claire Davis, Uma Desai, Ashley DeVore, Emily Doffing, Ariana Fallahan, Mira Felzi, Zach Fizen, Yoshiaka Fujita, Sarah Glazer, Gabriela Guerrero, Grace Hermes, Cheyenne Hillman, Leslie Hoey, Faith Hofaker, Brittany Huang, Catherine Johnston, Dagan Kingery, Haley Coons, Ryan Lane, Ye Jo Lee, Luyan Lin, Sarah Ann Mahoney, Natalie Martins, Naomi Mendoza, Jennifer Meising, Sarah Milgrim, Carmen Miller, Katie Mylar, Kara Neely, Amukta Malyada Nuni, Sarah Oberg, Catherine Patz, Holly Faunes, Ian Rogers, Shimon Rosenblum, Isabel Sears, Branham Cheryl, Sierra Sparbani, Will Ullman, Jaden Wilcoxon, Annabelle Wilder, Hetting Sue.
And now the 2021 juniors. Diego Acosta, Hala Arnold, Eiler Atadoriyevit, Emily Binkley, Nellie Brown, Christina Carrington, Agustina Cavallo, Ava Cormani, Marilyn Curtis, Kaylee D'Ambrosia, Emma Fernelli, Sarah Glaves, Sarah Grindstaff, Rachel Hall, Michaela Harding, Joseph Hartung, Mason Huson, Emma Johnson, Noah Johnson, Claire Kirchner, Hiroko Kobayashi, Natalie Lamb, Brooklyn Minard, Laura Malagon, Hannah Nust, Catherine Price, Fernanda Reyes, Hunter Schneider, Evan Schrader, Leah Stein, Aaron Sturt, Chloe Ben Biesler, Casey Zarek. Congratulations to all of the new members of our society.
We are near the end of our program. I would like to thank the many members of the faculty and staff who reviewed the transcript of several hundred students and selected all of you who have been initiated today. Also, I would like to thank our chapter secretary, Dr. Ann Wallen, who has coordinated all aspects of the selection process and this ceremony. So this is the end, or rather for our initiates, the beginning. Phi Beta Kappa can be your intellectual home and a kind of super alumni association comprised of exceptional members from our 290 chapters across the country. We hope that you will stay connected with Phi Beta Kappa, and we all look forward to hearing about your next great adventure. Congratulations again.